Welcome to English with Podcast, your go-to show for mastering the English language. I'm Sarah, and with me is my co-host, Mike. Today, we're diving into a topic that's close to many of our listeners' hearts: how to speak English fluently.
That's right, Sarah. Fluency is often seen as the holy grail of language learning, but it can seem elusive to many learners. In this episode, we'll break down what fluency really means and share some effective strategies to help our listeners achieve it.
Absolutely, Mike. Before we jump in, why don't you share a bit about your language learning?
Sure thing. Well, I currently speak 5 languages, but it wasn't always that way. I started as a shy monolingual English speaker. Through years of practice and using the techniques we'll discuss today, I've become fluent in Spanish, French, Mandarin, and Japanese, in addition to English.
That's incredible, Mike. I'm sure our listeners would love to know your secrets. For me, I became fluent in Spanish as an adult, so I know firsthand the challenges of achieving fluency later in life.
Great perspectives from both of us then. So let's start with the basics. Sarah, how would you define fluency?
That's a great question, Mike. Fluency is often misunderstood. It's not about speaking perfectly or knowing every word in the dictionary. Instead, fluency is the ability to communicate smoothly, effectively, and with confidence in real-time situations.
Exactly. It's about expressing yourself comfortably and being understood, rather than speaking like a native or never making mistakes. Now, let's dive into our top strategies for achieving fluency. Sarah, would you like to start us off?
Absolutely. The first and perhaps most important strategy is consistent practice. You need to use English every single day, even if it's just for a few minutes. This could be through speaking, listening, reading, or writing.
I couldn't agree more. Consistency is key. Another crucial strategy is immersion. Try to surround yourself with English as much as possible. This could mean watching English TV shows, listening to English podcasts, or reading English books and articles.
Those are great suggestions, Mike. I'd also add that speaking practice is absolutely essential. Many learners focus too much on input and not enough on output. Find a language exchange partner, join English conversation groups, or even talk to yourself in English if you can't find a partner.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Fear of error is one of the biggest obstacles to fluency. Remember, native speakers make mistakes too. The goal is communication, not perfection.
That's so true, Mike. I always tell my students that mistakes are a sign of learning. Embrace them and learn from them. Now, let's talk about another powerful strategy, thinking in English.
Oh, that's a game changer. When you start thinking in English, you're on the fast track to fluency. Try narrating your day in your head in English or mentally translating signs and conversations you hear into English.
Excellent point. It takes practice, but it really helps speed up your language processing. Another strategy I found helpful is learning phrases and collocations rather than isolated words.
Can you elaborate on that for our listeners, Sarah?
Of course. Instead of learning the word make alone, learn phrases like make a decision, make progress, or make sense. This helps you use words more naturally and fluently in conversation.
That's a great tip. It reminds me of another important strategy, expanding your vocabulary through contextual learning. Instead of memorizing word lists, try to learn new words in context through reading and listening.
Absolutely. Context is crucial for understanding how and when to use new vocabulary. Now, Mike, I know you're a fan of using technology in language learning. Can you share some tech-based strategies for improving fluency?
Gladly. There are so many great apps and online resources available now. Language learning apps like Duolingo or Babbel can help with daily practice. For improving listening skills, podcast apps like Spotify or Apple Podcasts are goldmines of English content.
Don't forget about language exchange apps like Tandem or HelloTalk. They're great for finding speaking partners from around the world.
Absolutely. And for those who enjoy gaming, there are even language learning games and VR experiences that can make practice more engaging.
Those all sound like fun ways to practice. Now,
That's crucial, Sarah. Setting small, achievable goals can keep you motivated and help you see your progress. For example, you might aim to learn 5 new phrases a week or have a 10-minute conversation in English every day.
And tracking your progress can be as simple as keeping a language learning journal or using an app to log your study time and achievements.
Exactly. It's all about creating a sustainable, enjoyable learning routine. Speaking of which, any tips for making English practice a daily habit?
Great question. One effective method is to tie English practice to existing habits. For example, listen to an English podcast while commuting, or read an English article while having your morning coffee.
I love that idea. It's all about integrating English into your daily life. Another tip is to find content you genuinely enjoy in English. If you love cooking, watch English cooking shows. If you're into sports, follow English language sports news.
That's so important. Learning should be enjoyable, not a chore. Now, as we're nearing the end of our episode, let's recap our key strategies for achieving English fluency.
Great idea. We've covered quite a lot. So, to sum up.
Excellent summary, Mike. Remember, listeners, fluency is a journey, not a destination. Be patient with yourself and celebrate your progress along the way.
Absolutely. And we'd love to hear from you. What strategies have you found most effective in your English learning journey? Share your experiences in the comments section below this podcast.
Yes, please do. Your insights could help fellow learners on their path to fluency. And don't forget to subscribe to English with Podcast for more language learning tips and strategies.
That's all we have for today. Thank you for tuning in, and remember, with consistent practice and the right strategies, English fluency is within your reach.
Until next time, keep practicing, stay motivated, and enjoy your English learning journey.